She would tell me that she was just hanging out with her coworkers or had to stay later to help work on a project, and I didn't pay much attention to it at first. One time I saw her come home particularly late in clothes that she hadn't left the house in. Her makeup was done beautifully, and she wore a red dress, much like Jessica Rabbit's. She looked really happy as she walked into the house. I asked her why she had changed her outfit from her usual work attire to this elegant dress, and she said they had an after-hours work event to boost the morale of the team. I asked her where it was and why she hadn't brought it to me. She only answered one of my questions. She said they didn't allow them to bring spouses because the food bought was on the company's dollar. I let it go, and she went upstairs to prepare for bed. In the following days, she wore her makeup the same way from that night and started wearing more vibrant fitted work clothes. It was a subtle change, but I knew Mia, and Mia despised wearing makeup unless it was a special occasion. On the weekends, I noticed while she was running errands, she would now start putting on makeup and the expensive perfume I bought her for one of our anniversaries. She didn't wear it when we went out though. The dates between us started to become few and far between, and it wasn't because I wasn't planning them. Every time I would try to propose a candlelight dinner or reading in a park, Mia said she would be busy that day, or that she was tired and wanted to rest, but later that day, she would leave the house to go somewhere alone. I didn't want to bring up the changes I saw because I figured this was probably what she meant by feeling alive. She was taking care of herself more and dressing herself up. Who would I be to tell her otherwise? Some days, after running errands, she would tell me how a guy in the grocery store hit on her. I was never the jealous type, but she would go on and on about how the guy looked at her. Even at work, she would come home, and the second I would ask her about her day, she would lead to how a certain guy at her job was so smart and how great he was at problem solving. The uneasiness settled in when we would host game nights at our house and my male friends would come over to play. After they left, Mia would go on about how cute they were when they were losing, or how another one was so funny. She seemed to have taken an interest in them, and I debated not having people over anymore, but at the same time, I didn't want to take away any fun experiences from Mia, considering she almost lost her life. I felt torn. I knew I had to talk to her, so after work one day I made her dinner and brought up her recent changes. I told her I noticed she was coming home late often, wearing makeup, dressing better and talking about more dudes in her life. I told her about how insecure it made me feel in the relationship. She did not take it well. She said that I was being controlling and that she wasn't doing anything to raise suspicion. I said that I trusted her, but her actions were just alarming, considering the talk we had a few weeks ago. She said that she didn't need a man to control her life, and that I didn't understand what it was like to face death. So yeah, I'm gonna experience this life to the fullest, she said. I apologized for getting her riled up, said I was just concerned about her behavior, and told her I only wanted the best for her. That night, I sat in our bed feeling guilty about everything. I accused her of cheating on me, and now I'm sitting here with an egg on my face. Mia was doing exactly what I told her to do. Try new hobbies like makeup, fashion, and being more sociable, and here I was telling her to stop because it made me feel uncomfortable. I felt terrible. I was too strict on her. Then I began to think, why was she only more sociable to men? The feeling of potentially being toyed with ate at me. One moment, I felt that she was playing me and using cancer as a cover-up for her true intentions, and the next moment, I felt guilty for convincing myself of this. It had been weeks since our last date. Every night that Mia would come home, it would be almost my bedtime. We didn't talk much other than an occasional, "How was your day?" or "Could you pick up milk on your way home?" Mia started going on weekend trips, and whenever I asked her where she was going, sometimes she would say she was just out with her girlfriends. Other times, she claimed it was for her job. I told her it was weird that they had her working late and asking for time on the weekends, and she said that it was because of some big project they were preparing for. I asked her if I could tag along, and she accused me of not trusting her. She seemed really upset every time I asked her, so after a while, I would stop asking and tell her goodbye, and to be safe. One day, she came home from work, late again as usual, and spoke to me first. I hadn't experienced this for a long time, and I was excited to talk to her. She asked me if I had time to talk, and I said of course. She then dropped another bomb on me. She asked if we could open our marriage, and went on to talk about all the benefits we would have. She said we would both be happier, and that we would no longer have to worry about being jealous of each other, because we both would establish ground rules in the beginning. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My heart felt just as broken as when she asked for my permission to cheat on me the first time. I felt a lump in my throat and looked at her. I knew that I didn't want anybody else. She was waiting for my answer, and I saw the look on her face was of desperation. I told her that I still didn't feel comfortable opening our marriage, and she began to cry. She cried and pleaded. Mia told me that surviving cancer was the biggest eye-opener for her, and changed her life. She said she craved more excitement out of life now, to make up for the years that were robbed of her from the constant suffering.